I want to get dirty. That's what one of my students told me as he threw his arms up. Now you have to remember, I taught auto repair for 42 years and I had all kinds of students. Now I remember Ray. He got me into trouble with my immediate supervisor. The chairperson of industrial education, Mr. Joe Livingston, comes to me and tells me, Sanchez, I just got off the phone with this lady that says that you all are trading sex for transmissions. Busted! In the comments, if you want to hear the rest of this true story, how my student got busted trading sex for transmissions, write it in the comments. What are we doing today? We're going to continue our super low budget, but I think I changed the name. The name now is barebone budget. In the comments, again, which one do you like better? Barebone budget or super low budget? Either way, we're not going to spend much money on this project. Now, so far, I've done really well. I said I was going to make the engine idle for $1 or less, and I did. This is an example of how creative I can be. Now, it turns out that spending minimal amount of money on a repair es mi mero mole. What the heck does that mean? That is my forte. Some of us still don't know what that means. That's my specialty. I get thrills fixing cars for $1. I called it my cheap thrills. I remember I would fix cars for $1 in my driveway. I remember this particular instant. It was curb service. You'd pull into my driveway, you would honk the horn, I knew to come out, and I was fixing air conditionings. Anyway, I was able to fix this lady's air conditioning by just snipping the vacuum hose that had been split and the ventilation was not working correctly. I was able to fix it quick, easy, and cheap. I remember she asked me, well, how much do I owe you? And I said $1. And she said, $1? I could hear the excitement in her voice, and I decided to mess with her a little bit. And I said, okay, 50 cents. 50 cents! I said, okay, it's free, just go away. She's not going anywhere. Good thing they didn't have cell phones when this happened. She would have called everybody she knows to tell them, come on over here, because they're fixing cars for $1. Anyway, what are we doing today? We're going to show you how this little fuel system works. This is an entire fuel tank, fuel pump, fuel lines, carburetor. I'm able to make this engine run. I know that the engine is good. Our next challenge is to make this vehicle move under its own power. It hasn't moved in almost 10 years. I know the engine is good. I expect the transmission to be good. The only question is sometimes that friction disc on the clutch fuses to the flywheel with a little bit of rust. Anyway, just for giggles, like my brother Armando says, just for fun, we're going to make this truck move under its own power with a budget of $1. Here we go again. Now we got some obstacles to overcome. Let's take a look. I've got a little bit of gasoline. I'm going to pour it into my water bottle. That's a whole fuel system. It's going to drip onto the throttle plate. Let me turn the ignition on first by hot wiring it. The ignition is ready. My starter button is ready. We can make almost miracles happen. Are we ready to make this engine idle? Here we go. There's some gas. And we have idle. This is no kind of camera trick. This engine is idling because of that water bottle dripping onto the fuel system. It's a little extra. Now I'm very limited how long I can run this engine because there's no radiator. There's no coolant. I can run it for about 3 minutes, but I'm trying to show you how creative we can get around here on keeping the cost. Now I'm going to get around to all the radiator stuff. In fact, I have a list here. And our challenge for this project is to be able to make this vehicle back on the road for $1,000 or less. Now, that's going to have to include real cylinders, master cylinder, flex hoses, kingpins, radiator, water pump, and that's $500 alone. I have not included any of the fuel system. I'm going to need a fuel tank, fuel line, fuel pump, all of this. I watch a lot of TV shows about them fixing these cars up. And I guess I'm jealous. They'll spend $100,000 on fixing a car. I don't have that kind of money to spend. We're going to spend 100 times less. As I mentioned, they'll spend $1,000 on one wheel. We're going to spend $1,000 to get this truck back on the road. Stick around, let's see how far I can get. So, our next challenge is to make this vehicle move under its own power. But we have 4 flat tires. Now let's take a look at this one. This one looks pretty bad. There's no chance of it holding air. We're going to have to get another tire. How are we going to do that and not spend more than $1? How are we going to do that? Check it out. We have 4 flat tires and a budget of $1. So far, my luck is pretty good. The truck came with 2 spares. Here's one, and I'll show you the other one in just a minute, but I also have this universal donut. I'm crossing my fingers hoping that, yes, this universal rim will fit on this truck. So I have 1, 2, and here's number 3. Spare number 3 is right down here. Check it out. I bet you all of these spares will hold air. So all I have to do is find one good tire on this truck that'll hold air. And even if I can't find one that holds air, all I really need is 2 in the back, and I'll use my floor jack up front, and it's safe enough to make it go forward. So let's get ready for the next step. Here is another example of how we get by with what we have here at the Barebone Budget Garage. You see this? This is an extension cord. This building does not have electrical power. I have to get some from my dad's garage next door. Why do I have to do that? Because unfortunately, this building was abandoned and the copper thieves got here. They took all the electrical wire. Now, I'll get around to putting electrical for now, but because I have this limited extension cord, I'm going to have to run a small air compressor to get those tires filled up. Come on. Because we're limited on our electrical supply, we're going to use this small compressor. But I'm going to make sure it makes it through all 4 of the spare tires. I'm going to operate this small compressor for maybe 4 minutes and then turn it off. Why do I do that? That way I don't overload the little electric motor in there. It's probably going to take me 4 tries, but at least this little compressor is going to last enough to fill up all the spares that I can come up with. A little WD-40 on the lug nuts to make sure that they're going to come off with no trouble. Not only are we going to spend the minimal amount of money, we're also going to try and have the minimal amount of work. We're going to make sure none of these lug nuts break off. That means extra expense and more labor time. We let them soak in, and then we'll give it a shot. This little guy here should work great. Alright, let's see what happens. Alright, so far so good. Because this vehicle has been in dry storage and hasn't been exposed to the elements, everything's just coming apart great. Sometimes these rims get rusted onto the drum. And we have tire. Here. Right there. There we go. Alright, this one fits. And it took some air. So we're going to put this guy on, and I'll just put a couple of them here just to make it move a little bit, because I'm going to have to work on the brakes real soon. Okay, here we go. And that's called styling. Anytime you can, throw a little styling in there. Okay, on to the next step. All right, we're off to a good start. The engine is idling. I've got 3 spare tires I'm going to put on this, and I'll find that last one that'll hold air. But I want to point out our strategy. Yes, right away. I need a radiator? No, I don't. I don't need a radiator. I don't need a carburetor. I don't need a fuel system because I ain't going anywhere yet. Here's the strategy. We're going to start with the least expensive parts. We're headed toward the kingpin bushings because I believe that's what's holding the steering back from working correctly. Now, while I'm there, well, let me mention, to put the kingpin bushings in is $40 for both sides. And it comes with the bushings and the kingpin and that very special roller bearing that's going to help to make this steering work well. While I'm in there repairing the steering, I'm going to look at the hydraulic brakes. I'm pretty sure they're going to need replacing. Now, I've got the list of parts that I'm looking to start to buy, but I'm going to buy the cheapest ones first, and then the next one and the next one. I don't need a carburetor, fuel tank, fuel pump, fuel line, radiator. I don't need any of that right now. I'm going to get the steering and the brakes repaired. The steering's going to cost me about $40. Now the brakes, if I have to replace all the cylinders, the four-wheel cylinders and the master cylinder, that's going to run about $200, including the flex hoses that's going to make it safe. After I get past that, then I'll start concentrating on what's next. Folks, thank you for sticking around. We appreciate the view. If you have any comments or questions, please put them in the comment. We appreciate all of that. Be sure and give us a like, and if you can share with your friends. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. I hope you keep coming back to our bare bone project.